It took this long to get to it, but have we actually reached the best sandwich in the world? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is Weekend Country number 190 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every single country in the world. Tonight we're up to the nation of Vietnam. Vietnam, located in Southeast Asia, is bordered by China, Cambodia, Laos, and shares maritime borders with Malaysia. And it has one of the most spectacular cuisines in the world. It is so delicious and so much that one could spend time on that I can't even begin to touch on it. The cuisine of Vietnam is influenced by the cuisine of its neighbors, of China, as well as Cambodia and Laos. There are a lot of dishes that cross borders. There's a lot of variety throughout the country, from the north, where like beef might be a little more prominent because of the Chinese connection, to the south, where there's a more of a French influence because of the political history of the country. And if you have time to investigate it, please do, because this is not even going to touch the scratch of the surface. If you know anything about Vietnamese food, the thing you're probably most familiar with is pho, which is a soup-like dish, which is fantastic and not what we're doing here. But before we get into all this, we need to look and see how things went when we tried things last time around. Well, last time around on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was flummoxed with how much there was to possibly cook. And I quickly had to 86 the idea of doing pho because A, I don't do soups very well. And there's so many of the recipes involved either a million different ingredients I couldn't get, or served a lot of different people, or had a lot of different components that you put on the dish yourself, which is fine in terms of cuisine, but not great in terms of what we're doing here. So what we wind up doing is cooking and streaming across 3 nights, and I cooked a total of 7 separate recipes. It was mind-boggling. I don't know how I did that. I was younger then. On the first night, we actually had company, and so I cooked for 3, and I made a shrimp rolls, which were really, really great. I made a caramelized chicken, which was fantastic. I made a dessert of banana packets, which involved glutinous rice, which I still have sitting right there. It was really, really tasty, and one of the rare desserts that I do. That's not what we're doing, and neither what we're doing on the second night, which is a version of pork chops, which was incredible, because what we are doing is what we did here on the third night, which is a Vietnamese French influenced dish, which is a Banh Mi sandwich, which is usually done with a very, very particular kind of bread and a very, very particular kind of meat, which unfortunately, where we are in Miami, Florida, it's very, very hard to find some stuff. So we are going to take 2 on that. The first time around, we made a hot chili oil from scratch for that, and we're not doing that this time. But it's gonna be good. So let's see what goes into tonight's dish. For our Vietnamese-style banh mi, we'll need, for the seasoned pork, 1 teaspoon of canola oil, 1 tablespoon of finely chopped yellow onion, 12 ounces of ground pork, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil, half a teaspoon of Asian-style hot sauce, half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder, half a teaspoon of red food coloring, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, in this case we're going with ground dried onion, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper plus more to taste, and for the slaw and serving, a 1/4 cup of distilled white vinegar, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a half a cup of julienne carrots, a half cup of daikon radish, kosher salt to taste, 4 10-inch Vietnamese baguettes or Portuguese rolls, split, half a cup of mayonnaise, 8 1/8-inch thick slices of Vietnamese-style pork roll, that would be known as chalua or bologna, 8 1/8-inch thick slices of Vietnamese-style salami or ham, a half cup of cilantro sprigs, half a medium English cucumber cut lengthwise into 4 thick slices, and Asian-style chili oil to taste, optional since we don't have it. Well, as with all things Southeast Asian, there's a million different ingredients, which takes a lot of time to prep, which is the one drawback on it, because otherwise it's going to be really, really great. We need to get cooking. First, make the slaw. In a 2-quart saucepan, add the vinegar, sugar, and half a cup of water, and bring it to a boil. Transfer to a medium bowl, Stir in the carrots, radish, and salt, and set aside the slaw for 30 minutes. Drain. Then make the seasoned pork. In a 10-inch non-stick skillet over medium heat, add the onion and cook, stirring often until soft, about 2 to 3 minutes. Add the pork, hoisin, 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, sesame oil, hot sauce, 5 spice powder, food coloring, onion, garlic powders, and pepper. Cook, stirring often until browned, about 5 to 6 minutes. Remove from the heat and set aside. Heat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the baguettes on a baking sheet and spread 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise inside both halves. Bake until hot and slightly crisped, about 5 minutes. Remove from the oven and divide the seasoned pork evenly between the baguettes. Top each with 2 slices of the pork roll, 2 slices of the salami, 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, 1/4 of the cilantro, and 1 cucumber slice. Season with more pepper and chili oil. Top with the slaw. Close the sandwiches and serve. How did that turn out? Well, again, it was blow your mind phenomenally good. I cannot explain how incredibly flavorful that was. I thought I had really messed things up badly between one thing and another, and not having my Chinese 5-spice pre-prepared. I had to make another batch from scratch. By the way, you can check the video for Thailand if you want to see the recipe for the Chinese 5-spice. But it was so good. I cannot tell you, it was salty and sweet and bitter and sour and umami and all these things all kind of jammed into one. The crunch of the bread was great. The addition of the mayonnaise on there gave it a great, nice toastiness. All the flavors in the meat were great. It was messy as hell. I thought it was going to be like a sloppy joe with stuff going everywhere, and it really wasn't as messy as all that. It was so good. I thankfully had enough for leftovers, and those were even great a few days later. I just cannot say how good it is. That one obviously gets 5 out of 5 globes. Make it now, thank me later. So thank you, Vietnam. Sorry we couldn't touch on all the wondrousness that you are, but you can check out actual Vietnamese people and see what they do. I hope if you are unfamiliar with Vietnamese cooking before watching this will inspire you to actually see what Vietnamese people cook and the fantastic food that they make, because you'll love it. So that does it for Asia. No, not all of Asia. That does it for Southeast Asia, because we have one more Asian country to do, and that's next week when we cook the food of Yemen. See you then. These are not my original recipes. Links to the original recipes and their authors can be found in the About section. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about what I'm doing, feel free to sound off in the comments here. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when these videos are posted, and of course you can always follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Thanks for coming by. See you next time. Happy eating.